I shove my palms against the painted frame of the kitchen window, pressing until the wood groans and finally gives. The window jerks open, and a wave of thick Georgia air rushes in warm, damp, smelling faintly of jasmine and the river. The sudden gust catches a stack of envelopes on the counter, sending them sliding across the laminate and scattering onto the floor. I stand there for a moment, watching them fall in slow motion, white rectangles spinning through the air, landing at odd angles on the hardwood. Medical forms, retirement papers, brochures for senior yoga classes, and book clubs I never called back. My hands are still pressed against the window frame, and I notice they're trembling slightly. I lower them to my sides and take a breath, but the silence around me doesn't break. It just stretches, filling every corner of the townhouse like something alive. I kneel down slowly, my knees protesting, and start gathering the papers. They feel thin between my fingers, official, impersonal, necessary. One envelope slides further away, skittering under the refrigerator where I can't quite reach it. I press my cheek against the cool tile floor, stretching my arm into the narrow gap, my shoulder aching as I fish for the corner of the paper. The tile smells faintly of lemon cleaner. My breathing sounds too loud in the quiet. I hook the envelope with 2 fingers and drag it out, brushing dust off the surface as I sit back on my heels. The stack feels heavier now that I'm holding it again. I don't want to look at any of it. I set the papers on the counter and press my palm flat against them, as if I can keep them from moving again, from demanding my attention. The silence settles back in, thicker than before. Then 3 sharp knocks at the front door. The sound jolts through me, sudden and startling, and I freeze with my hands still on the papers, my heart pounding harder than it should. Before I continue, if stories like this touch you, I'd love for you to subscribe and leave a comment. Your voice truly matters here. The knocking comes again, softer this time. I wipe my hands on my jeans and walk to the door, smoothing my hair back even though I don't know why it matters. When I open it, my neighbor Mrs. Chen is standing there with a concerned smile, asking if I'm all right. She heard something fall. I assure her I'm fine, just clumsy with the window. She nods, but her eyes linger on my face a moment too long before she leaves. That look stays with me after I close the door. It's the look people give when they're worried you're not taking care of yourself. And maybe I'm not. My name is Margaret Ellison. Everyone calls me Maggie. I'm 63 years old, and until 4 months ago, I was a school counselor at Oglethorpe Charter here in Savannah, Georgia. I spent 37 years in that building, 37 years listening to kids, helping them navigate everything from college applications to family crises to heartbreak. I loved it. I was good at it. And when I finally retired, I thought I'd feel relieved, free, ready for the next chapter. Instead, I feel like I've been erased. The townhouse I bought 2 years ago was supposed to be my peaceful retreat, the place I'd come home to after long days, where I'd finally have time to read and garden and do all the things I never had time for. But now that I'm here all day, every day, it doesn't feel peaceful. It feels hollow. The rooms are too quiet. The walls are too bare. I keep meaning to hang pictures, but I haven't gotten around to it. The boxes are still stacked in the second bedroom, unopened since the move. I wake up each morning, and there's nothing pulling me out of bed. No alarm. No schedule. No one waiting for me. I make coffee and sit at the kitchen table, staring out at the small courtyard where the fig tree grows, and I try to think of what to do with the day. Sometimes I go to Forsyth Park and sit on a bench near the fountain, Watching joggers and families and students from SCAD walking past with their sketchbooks. The park is beautiful, the live oaks draped in Spanish moss. The pathways lined with azaleas, but I feel separate from it all. Like I'm watching a movie instead of living in it. I eat meals standing at the counter because it feels pointless to set the table for one person. I leave the TV on even when I'm not watching it, just to hear voices. I tell myself I'll join one of those clubs, call one of my former colleagues, go to the community center for the watercolor class I saw advertised. But I don't. The days slip past and I do nothing, and the silence gets heavier. One afternoon, I force myself to leave the house. I drive out to Wormslow Historic Site, thinking maybe a walk will help, maybe movement will quiet the restless feeling in my chest. The avenue of oaks is stunning, as always, the branches forming a canopy overhead. But I barely see it. I'm just walking because I don't know what else to do. I'm about half a mile down the trail when I hear a sound so faint I almost miss it. Under the rustle of leaves and the distant call of a bird. A soft whimper. Barely more than a breath. I stop walking and tilt my head, listening. There it is again, coming from somewhere off the path to my right. I step carefully through the underbrush, the ground soft and damp beneath my shoes. The air smells like earth and moss and old wood. I push aside a low-hanging branch and see him, a tiny scruffy pup, tan and white, sitting beside an abandoned canvas bag near the base of an oak tree. He's trembling, his little body shaking even though it's warm out. His fur is matted with dirt and burrs, and his paws are caked with mud. But his eyes, round and dark and impossibly expressive, lock onto mine the moment I step closer. He doesn't run. He just watches me, his ears pressed flat against his head, his tail tucked tight. I crouch down slowly, my knees protesting again, and hold out my hand. "Hey there," I whisper. My voice sounds strange. I haven't spoken aloud in hours, maybe days. "It's okay. You're okay." He doesn't move at first, just stares at me with those big, wary eyes. I stay still, letting him decide. The air is thick and humid, and I can hear my own breathing, slow and steady. Then, after what feels like forever, he takes one shaky step toward me. Just one. But it's enough. I reach forward carefully and let him sniff my fingers. His nose is warm and damp. He leans in slightly, and I can feel the tension in his small body, the fear and exhaustion radiating off him. Someone left him here. Someone abandoned this little creature, and he's been waiting maybe for hours, maybe longer, for someone to come back. But no one did. "Come here," I say softly, and I scoop him up gently, cradling him against my chest. He's lighter than I expected, all bones and matted fur. He doesn't resist. He just presses his face into my shirt and exhales a long, shuddering breath that I feel more than hear. I hold him there for a moment, feeling the rapid beat of his heart against my ribs, and something shifts inside me. Something small but undeniable. I carry him back to the car, moving slowly so I don't startle him. He stays curled against me the entire walk, his body gradually relaxing. When I set him on the passenger seat, he looks up at me with those same dark eyes, and I hear myself saying, "Just for tonight. We'll figure it out tomorrow." I don't know who I'm trying to convince, him or myself. I bring him inside and set him down gently on the kitchen floor. He stands there, wobbly and uncertain, looking around at the unfamiliar space. I fill a shallow bowl with water and place it in front of him, and he drinks frantically, water splashing onto the tile. I grab a clean towel from the bathroom and run it under warm water. then kneel beside him and start wiping away the dirt and burrs as carefully as I can. He flinches once or twice, but he doesn't pull away. He just stands there, letting me clean him, his eyes half closed. "You're going to be okay," I tell him. And I realize it's the first full sentence I've spoken aloud in days. My voice sounds clearer now, more real. When I'm finished, he looks a little less ragged, still scruffy, still too thin, but cleaner. I fold the towel into a makeshift bed and set it in the corner of the living room, and he curls up on it immediately, tucking his nose under his paw. I stand there for a long moment, watching him sleep. Then I go to the kitchen and do something I haven't done in weeks. I actually cook. Not just heating up leftovers or eating crackers over the sink, but real food. I make scrambled eggs and toast, and I sit down at the table to eat. The little pup wakes up halfway through and pads over to me, sitting at my feet and watching with hopeful eyes. I give him a tiny bite of egg, and his tail wags for the first time, a tentative, careful wag that makes something in my chest loosen. After dinner, I pull out the stack of retirement papers I've been avoiding for weeks and spread them across the table. The pup settles at my feet, his warm weight pressed against my ankle, and I start filling out the forms. It's not as overwhelming as I thought it would be. The silence doesn't feel as heavy with him here. I sign my name at the bottom of the last page and set down the pen, exhaling slowly. He shifts against my foot, and I reach down to scratch behind his ears. "Good boy," I whisper. The next morning, I wake up earlier than usual. The pup is still asleep on his towel, but he stirs when he hears me moving. I make coffee and take him outside to the courtyard, watching as he sniffs the grass and explores the fig tree. The morning air is soft and cool, and the light filters through the leaves in a way that feels almost hopeful. We walk down to the corner and back, just a short loop around the block, but it's more movement than I've managed in weeks. We settle into a rhythm over the next few days. Slow morning walks through the neighborhood, where the smell of gardenias hangs heavy in the air. I teach him to sit, and he learns quickly, his eyes bright and focused. In the evenings, we sit on the porch together, watching the light fade and the fireflies start to blink in the courtyard. I find myself talking to him not in the silly, high-pitched voice people use with pets, but in my real voice, telling him about my day, about the students I used to counsel, about the things I miss and the things I don't. One afternoon, I catch him clumsily chasing a moth across the living room floor, his paws skidding on the hardwood, and I laugh. A real, genuine laugh that surprises me with its loudness. He stops and looks at me, his head tilted, and I laugh again. It feels good. It feels like something breaking open inside me. I start noticing small changes. I set the table for meals now. I turn off the TV and listen to the quiet, and it doesn't feel oppressive anymore, it feels peaceful. I frame a few photos and hang them in the hallway. I call an old colleague and meet her for coffee, and when she asks how I'm doing, I tell her the truth. I'm doing better. She notices a difference in my voice, but there are still hard nights. One evening, I'm sitting on the living room floor, sorting through old files from my counseling office, and I find a card a student gave me on my last day. The handwritten note inside thanking me for listening, for caring, hits me harder than I expected. The tears come suddenly, overwhelming, and I press my hands to my face, trying to hold them back. But I can't. I just sit there and cry, all the grief and loneliness and loss pouring out of me. The pup, who had been napping on the couch, jumps down and walks over to me. He climbs into my lap, settling his small body against my chest and rests his head on my shoulder. His breathing is steady and warm, and I can feel his heartbeat through his ribs. I wrap my arms around him and hold on, letting the tears come, letting myself feel everything I've been pushing down for months. He doesn't move. He just stays there, solid and present, anchoring me. Eventually, the crying slows. My breathing evens out. I run my hand down his back, feeling the softness of his fur, and for the first time in a long time, I let myself exhale fully, slow and deep and real. "Thank you," I whisper into his fur. He licks my chin once, gently, and I almost start crying again. I wake up the next morning feeling different, lighter, clearer. The pup is curled up at the foot of my bed, and when he sees me stirring, he stretches and yawns, his pink tongue curling. I smile and reach over to scratch his head. "Morning, buddy." We take our walk earlier than usual, heading into the historic district while the streets are still quiet. The morning light is golden and soft, reflecting off the cobblestones and painting the old buildings in shades of amber and rose. The Spanish moss sways gently overhead, and the air smells like coffee and baked bread from the cafe on the corner. The pup trots beside me, his steps confident now, matching my pace. He stops occasionally to sniff a lamppost or investigate a fallen leaf, and I wait patiently, no longer in a hurry to get anywhere. We walk past the squares: Chippewa, Madison, Monterey, each one lush and green and alive with birdsong. A jogger passes us and smiles, and I smile back. A couple walking hand in hand nods a greeting, and I nod in return. I feel connected to the world again. Not separate, not watching from a distance, but part of it. We reach the fountain at Forsyth Park and pause. The water arcs high into the air, catching the light, and the pup sits beside me, looking up with bright, curious eyes. I crouch down and run my hand along his back, feeling the warmth of his small body, the steady rhythm of his breathing. He leans into my touch, and I feel a swell of gratitude so strong it nearly takes my breath away. I look at him, this scruffy little pup who chose me on a trail in the woods, and I realize something. He didn't just give me a reason to get out of bed in the morning. He gave me a reason to care again, to feel again, to be present in my own life instead of just drifting through it. If this story touched you, feel free to subscribe and share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your voice. I thought I was saving him, but he saved me.